So, today's episode of Take a Seat is all about championing startups, and we're delighted to welcome our guest, Campbell Archibald. Campbell is an investor, chairman, strategic operator, and business owner with over 22 years of experience growing and successfully selling Alba Power. Since then, he's taken that hard-earned expertise and applied it across a range of industries, from hospitality as an investor and chair of Cam Ventures, to distilling as the owner of Angus Alchemy, and procurement as chair of Critica Group. Closer to home, Campbell has also spent the last 3 years on the Chamber Board, helping myself and the team champion businesses across the region and supporting founders at every stage of their journey. In today's conversation, we'll be talking about what it really takes to start and scale a business, the highs, the mistakes, the lessons learned, the do's and the don'ts that Campbell wishes every new founder knew from day one. This episode is packed with insight, honest reflection, and real-world experience. So whether you're just starting out or scaling up, there's something here for you. So, Campbell, take a seat.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So there was a lot in there in that introduction.
Don't remember half of that.
I know. I'm thinking he's taken that hard-earned expertise or investment funds and done lots of really interesting things. So, tell us just a little bit about why championing startups and early-stage businesses is so important to you.
Hopefully to stop people doing some of the mistakes and some of the what is now obvious in hindsight teaches you that they don't have to do. I think a point in the nudge in the right direction has helped me over the years, maybe even a wee kick here or there to say what you're doing that for. And yes, I also find you learn a lot because they are doing things that probably I didn't do. So it's good and exciting to try and help those people.
Great. And what about, so Alba Power was obviously such an important part of your own journey. So can you just tell us a little bit about, what you went through when you were kind of scaling that and then, and growing it?
I think it's key to kind of understand the environment, because I think environments are really key for why did we do it. So at the time I worked for Siemens Energy. Very regimented, very controlled, brilliant, business. But what that meant was that customers didn't have much choice. So choice was low, cost was high. Really, I was kind of kicked into it a little bit. So one of my customers actually suggested that I start a turbine company. I think my words to him were, I didn't have enough money to pay the milk, let alone start a turbine company, which is very cash rich and requirements. So I met an investor that he introduced me to, who was a friend of his through the flying club. It was very biggles and here we go. And I kind of resisted for about a year because I was early 20s, kind of set for life if I'd stayed where I was. So I was climbing the ladder, enjoyed it, got on with the people there. It was really nice. And then basically just put some structure in place, say, well, if you do this or you invest here, I'll come and we'll start this business, which became Alba Power. And it was, I guess it just got to a point, talk to friends, talk to family. My family are very, traditional. So nurse and policeman, job for life, stick with it. So they were vehemently against me starting a company. Especially with this sort of cavalier investor that I had at the time, who brilliant, lots of experience, but I learned a lot of good, a lot of bad at the same time. But we started Alba, and that was the main thing. And I guess I had early 20s. I had the view I could always go back to mum's, get a bedroom. The risk was low, So although it was a risk, I had a good career, good pensions, everything else. I kind of thought, well, if I lose a year of that, I can always go back. So it was kind of a rich environment that way. Started on day one with, I think I eventually got an office, but it was like pushing somebody else out of they had a big pipe yard, so I got this wee cupboard and I had to go and fight for a pencil, and those were things that I was just used to going and getting freely before. So yeah, it was really interesting, and there was no ground rules. There was no, this is what you must do. This is what you must do on a Monday. It was, well, there you go, you've got what you wanted. And it really was started. I was welding on a Saturday, building an engine on a Sunday and selling it on a Monday. It was you just had to do everything and see what was there, which was really fun and really cool. But looking back, it was a very different person in those days of what it was going to be. But it was exciting. It then went on to be 22 years, as you said, of growth and strategy, a few changes, management strategies, a few interesting moments in that process. It wasn't all smooth sailing. Lots of mistakes. That's one thing that I would pass on is don't be frightened. It never all goes right. Be prepared for when it goes wrong, and be prepared to take a deep breath and try and figure out the solution.
Is there something, I know people that very often start businesses because they're very good and passionate about the thing that they do, and then the running the business is the bit that doesn't come naturally, that actually often takes you away from the realities of building an engine and kind of doing the thing that you're super good at. So did you find that difficult?
I think yes is a simple answer. Difficult just because who do you trust? Who do you go to? Do they have the knowledge? And there was lots of different people throughout that process. Because of what we were doing was really unique. Speaking to a customer and convincing them that, please give me your $1 million+ asset to this little shed in Netherley in Aberdeenshire with potholes in the road, and it was really crazy to start with. That came naturally. And then there was dealing with everything, having the accountants, having the lawyers, having all the contracts written up, which I dabbled in but not done a lot. So studying all that helped. Met a couple of really interesting people. One who went on to start a fairly famous brewery in Aberdeenshire. And his accountancy skills, a lot of accountants would see what we did and say, it fits in a box that size, it's only worth £50. In the turbine world, that could be worth £50,000. Right. So just try to learn how to do those things. So good people like that understood what you were doing weren't easy to find, but once you found them, are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, yeah.
And he did okay in the brewery.
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things I just wanted to ask about was, people often find it difficult to kind of think about scaling or selling and starting again, because often people will start a business never thinking that actually they need an exit strategy, or they need to kind of work out, is this a pension? What is this? So what does that, what are the realities of that kind of journey, you would say?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly when I started, it was really about paying a relatively small mortgage and maybe having some fun at the weekends and just keeping things going. As we kind of went through that process and had employees and responsibilities, we kind of quickly went to about 4 or 5 people, stuck there for a while. We changed investor. I would say in the first 2 years, it was fight or flight. It was trying to make things work. It was, there was times where we had no money. We really struggled through. And there was a lot of investment involved. We were paying people for the services that they had, but we weren't getting paid for 6 months until we finished that process. So there was lots of those kind of things. And at that time, it was just about, I'm just having fun. I want to prove that I can do this. Yeah. I was fighting Rolls-Royce and Siemens. If you want to pick 2 people to fight, they're the guys. And when the second investor came along, they had an exit. They had built a business. And I remember having a conversation where they said, what is the exit strategy? I was 26. And I can't remember what my answer was, but it certainly wasn't what I think he was looking for. And there was a lot of turmoil there because, there was a lot of new investor. Did this company work? Was it going to go the right way? And quite quickly we kind of came up with a strategy that was, well, let's build something that we enjoy, we love, and is protected. So if we do that for the rest of our lives, great. But equally, let's do everything right, that if somebody came along and we didn't have any idea how long that would take, if somebody came along and they opened the door, we had everything in place that they would want to see. And I guess we learned along that process, what that would be. We had a lot of long-term service agreements and commitments from customers that we didn't have on day one. So there was income, there was revenue, there was guaranteed process. We had, when we left, we had 90% of the world's business. So you could easily take that on and harness that and go into other things. So yeah, it was something that I was probably quite against on day one. It was like, well, why would I sell this? I'm going to build this and enjoy it. And I was 20. Then when I was 40 something, it was a very different story of, for it to go to the next level, it needed investment. It needed further investment. It needed further control, management, and support that we couldn't do as an independent. So it became clear, and we'd been talking about it, and then there's a lot of circumstances around our purchase, but it was the right time.
The other thing I'm interested to kind of hear your thoughts on are just some of those do's and don'ts for new business owners. So yeah, share some of your thoughts on that.
I think there's a pretty traditional, I think, meeting a lot of people now, especially through the chamber and various things, people try and keep everything really hidden, like there's this huge secret. And sometimes there is, there's IP and stuff that you don't want to give away. But sharing the fact that you're starting a business or having a business, go and ask. Like I didn't, I kept it very, very protected because my employer at the time, before I moved, would have made things quite difficult. I then had to keep it really secret because if they found out where I was going to get a customer, they could have, cut me off very, very quickly. But I did find those people that were able to share things, guide things. I was never frightened to ask. So go and ask people. I even asked people in my old business, what should I do here? Where does this go? What do you do when you get to this point?
Yeah.
Especially we had no debt. We did everything ourselves. We grew everything internally. That was a luxury of the margins and everything that we could have, but it still gave the customer the benefit. So I think the answer would be go and ask, seek advice, don't be too protective, put the right stuff in place when you need to, but be open to, at the end of the day, if you ask 5 people and they say that's a terrible idea, it may be a terrible idea.
I think that's really interesting, that bit that you're talking about kind of finding the people that you can ask, because we changed our membership model recently, and we've been looking at the services we provide. And one of our members came to us and said, I used to be part of a small business circle. Well, that's what we've ended up calling it, like a founder's circle, if you like, just that kind of regular chance to get in the room with some of the same people and be able to just kick around a problem. So I'm hoping that really takes off. And I think we were delighted to have a member come to us and say, how do you think that would work?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think listen to your loved ones as well. I mean, my wife is long suffering and has put up with a lot of stuff over the years. But, she said to me recently, I do a lot of the chamber and various things. She said, I don't know how you have time. But for me, being at the chamber gives me something that I don't do every day. So we meet all walks of people that are on the board, people that are coming in to talk to the chamber, some of the charitable things that I do, they're a bit of a distraction. So you're not having to think about yourself or what you do. And you're meeting people, and it's amazing. I've been in meetings this week where they were nothing to do with anything I do. They were just to give advice. But the similarities, the connections, and where I could say, oh, have you tried that? They thought it was amazing. And I thought, well, that's what we do all day, every day in this world. So it's not always about somebody knowing what your business or what your idea is. It's about listening and hearing. That would actually really fit. So yeah, definitely listen.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we could kind of talk about all of that for an awful long time, but what I want to do is, so every guest that we have, we give them our key questions, which is obviously born of the fact that the chamber works out of City Key. So I'd like to give you our 3 key questions, Campbell. So what's the one piece of advice you wish you'd known at the start of your career?
That's a good question. I guess hindsight is going to give me the answer. I think sticking in and working hard was always a kind of family thing. Maybe not always in the right direction, but if you showed people you were willing. I recently went back to my old high school and was asked what piece of advice would I give, and my answer was, if you have an opportunity to do 5 minutes more work at the end of a day, do it. Don't be the first to leave. Don't always be eager to, what's happening this weekend. because what you learn in that last 5 minutes where everybody relaxes and starts talking differently to your day job, that's where I learned the most of my things that I thought were important. And it also says to your boss, oh, look at that guy, he's staying a bit late. And that's probably in different ways now. It might be online now, where that wasn't available when I was younger. So yeah, I think the advice would be put in a little bit more than everybody else.
Yeah, okay. Is there one issue that keeps you up at night?
Probably not what you think. I think there's a lot going on at the moment. I think I think there needs to be a bit of a reset. There's a lot of pressure being applied, and it's in the news. It's in the system all the time. On it, clearly, we need to support the country. We need to try and build things. Are we being targeted the right way or the wrong way? I think they think it's the right way, but I think it has negative effects. So there's a lot of that. I've got 2 young children, so what will their world be like? I'm reading a great book at the moment about phones and the influence. So unfortunately, my kids will not have a phone because I think it can be brilliant in the right hands, but it can also be very damaging to our society. So I got really old there quick, but I think it doesn't keep me awake, but I think it's something to consider. That it's all too easy to put something in the hands of specifically children that we haven't really thought about what that's going to do long term.
Yeah. And I think you're right in terms of, there's a lot of challenges for business at the moment, huge amount. And I feel like it's probably, nobody's really very sure where we're going. It's that kind of leadership, isn't it, that we're struggling with, because nobody is really sure what to do and how to fix the economy if we would say it was fully broken.
And we now live in an environment where things that aren't on our doorstep influence what happens on our doorstep. So, there's political leaders that can say stuff on a Monday, share price drops on a Tuesday, it returns on Wednesday. But if you're retiring on that Tuesday, there's been cases in the last year that's lost 30%.
Yeah.
So no one can control that. So it's an interesting world.
Yeah. As you say, it moves very fast, doesn't it? And you could be trying to do a deal overseas with somebody that just kind of disappears in front of you. So yeah, very difficult at the moment. You
just got to get on with it.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, a lighter note then, I think. Well, maybe, depends on your answer. If Cam Ventures had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe the Benny Hill. I'm not going to sing it.
Nor am I.
That would be no. I think.
Sorry. What? No, I do know.
I mean, I can do it, but that's a special request. I think joking aside, something light-hearted but with melody, because again, I think we can be driven by melody, by drive, by tradition. So probably something like Caledonia or something like that would be my soapy answer.
I felt sure you were going to say something about Bon Jovi.
I've definitely lived on a prayer. Many's a time.
Well, thank you. It's been really interesting. We're grateful that you've taken the time to come in and kind of share some of your thoughts and your expertise with us. We're taking the time to just think about the different challenges. We can talk about the opportunities on the podcast, and it's been really interesting to talk about business and starting up and scaling, and have you got an exit strategy, which I don't think an awful lot of people often think about. So yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed it. It's obvious, that your experience shows us that successful businesses are definitely not built overnight, and it's about resilience. I think we haven't used that word, I don't suppose, but it's definitely that's what's coming through, and and good decisions. But actually, sometimes it's just making decisions, isn't it, that kind of gets us through, and learning from the ones that don't quite go to plan.
Yep.
So, from championing startups to sharing honest insights from Campbell's own journey, this conversation is a reminder of just how important strong leadership, mentorship, and community support are for business growth. This episode closes our first season of Take a Seat, and we're so pleased that you have all taken the time to watch, listen, and be part of the conversation with us. we'll be inviting more of our gold and platinum partners to join us for a second season of Take a Seat, so please get in touch if you have an exciting story to share. Thank you.